So Luffy's latest form has finally come out, and that is Gear 5, and with this form Luffy is granted new levels of power. So let us determine the true power level of Luffy in Gear 5. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below on any thoughts you'll have about this video. Now let us begin by going through the categories which will help us properly determine the power of this character. We shall be beginning with the category of physical strength. Well, he was capable of going up against a character who was capable of splitting a continent in half. Yes, he actually split a continent in half. That was on Shinjao. Luffy was capable of fighting on par with him and then ultimately besting him in the battle. It wasn't even much of a struggle for Luffy. That would easily put Luffy at that tier of power around continental levels. Now, time progresses, Luffy gets stronger, and so does the people he has to face. He faces off against Doflamingo, and he actually struggles to defeat Doflamingo, which would already put Doflamingo above merely continental level, given that this variation of Luffy he faces off against is already continental level. Luffy actually struggles severely to actually best him and must go on to use Gear 4 to actually best him. That would ultimately mean that Doflamingo is above continental level. Time passes again, Luffy faces off against another character, that will be Katakuri, someone who once again Luffy struggles to defeat. And given that this variation of Luffy is the one who has already bested Doflamingo, who was already supposed to be above continental level, and now this above continental level Luffy is struggling to beat Katakuri, would put Katakuri above continental level, and then obviously he ultimately does best him, putting, in my opinion, that will obviously put Luffy around multi-continental level. And then obviously now he's facing off against the greatest villain he has ever fought throughout his entire life, that is Kaido. On the first time they fight, Kaido is absolutely at a completely different level in comparison to Luffy and easily bests Luffy. And now this is a Luffy who's already multi-continental level, and Kaido is easily capable of besting this Luffy, and the attacks that this Luffy attacks Kaido with do not even phase Kaido. Now that on its own is phenomenal, because again this is a multi-continental level Luffy. To best Kaido, Luffy trains and he gets stronger. And obviously that does help, given that he learns a few other things. He learns advanced Conquerors Haki, which allows him to actually hurt Kaido the next time they face off against each other. Yes, they face off against each other once again, and in this time Luffy is actually capable of hurting Kaido. That will obviously put Luffy at a higher level of power, and in my opinion that is already putting Luffy around planetary levels of power. Not the One Piece planetary, but in natural planetary levels of power, given that he has surpassed his earlier forms of being a multi-continental level, because he's now capable of actually hurting Kaido and actually causing Kaido a lot of struggle, a lot of problems in the battle. Kaido himself upgrades to become hybrid Kaido, making Kaido even stronger than he was already. And obviously that makes Luffy even get stronger, and as the battle continues both the characters get stronger and stronger and stronger. In my opinion this easily puts them above planetary levels, and then ultimately now Luffy gains his Gear 5th form. In this Gear 5 form he easily best or is easily above the power levels of the strongest variation of Kaido, who already easily surpasses planetary levels and can be seen to be multi-planetary level in terms of AP. And this variation, Gear 5 form variation of Luffy, is easily capable of making Kaido seem like a joke. In my opinion that easily puts Luffy above planetary level and moves on to maybe planetary plus or multi-planetary level. Yes, that's where I believe Luffy's AP to be around. Again, this is not the One Piece planet level, but more or less small planets or normal sized planets. Yes, that's where I believe Luffy's AP to be around. And now let's move on to speed. In terms of speed, Luffy surpassed the levels of light speed a long time ago, and this was seen in many moments, especially when he called the light speed attacks slow. Luffy, by the time he gains Gear 4, is already thousands of times faster than the speed of light, and by the time he gains Gear 5, though we haven't been given exact calculations on the speed levels or the increase of power that Luffy gains in Gear 5, we automatically didn't naturally know that Kaido was already thousands of times faster than the speed of light, and Luffy is thousands of times faster than the speed of light when he was in his Gear 4th form. So in Gear 5 he's automatically much faster than that. So he has surpassed the light speed a long time ago. In terms of durability, I believe it's quite obvious that it'd be more or less the same level as his AP, given that Kaido was already someone who was above planetary level in terms of AP himself, and Luffy was capable of tanking multiple blows from Kaido earlier on in his Gear 4th form, and that obviously put Luffy's levels of durability above planetary levels, and so in his Gear 5th form he obviously has higher levels of durability as well. Unfortunately, and we don't really see him take much damage in his Gear 5th form. I don't even know if he truly can take damage given the Toon Force aspect, but nonetheless he is easily above planetary levels of durability. And then in terms of power, well, he has all the variations of Haki. He has Conquerors Haki, Armament Haki, the Collar of the King's Haki. All of these allow him different variations and different abilities in battle. So with the observational Haki, he has the capabilities of more or less seeing into the future, which allows him advantages in the battle, given that he can predict what a person can do before they have really even done it. He has Armament Haki, which allows him to take blows from those characters who are more or less continental plus characters. He has Conquerors Haki, which allows him to take out large masses or large amounts of people with absolute and utter ease. And then Advanced Conquerors Haki, which allows him to hurt characters like Kaido and also hurt other characters without even really touching them. And then also with his Paramecia being awakened, he can more or less reshape the landmass or landform to a way that better suits him in that specific battle. And also with Toon Force, generally that would allow you a lot of different advantages, given that you're more or less reshaping reality to a way that best suits you in a battle. He's kind of capable of using Kaido as a jumping rope, punching a hole right through Kaido's head, and not really taking damage from Kaido's attacks because of Toon Force. Yes. So, let me round it all up, okay? Luffy's AP allows him to be above a planetary level or multi-planetary level, given that Gear 4, Luffy, the same Gear 4 that faced off against Kaido, was already around planetary level, given that earlier forms of Luffy were already capable of being considered to be multi-continental characters. So Gear 4 Luffy would obviously be around planetary level, and then Gear 5 Luffy, with a massive increase in power, will be above planetary level, maybe around multi-planetary level in terms of AP. And then in terms of speed, Luffy surpasses speed of light 1,000 times over. He is greater than speed of light by far. In terms of durability, it's more or less relative to his levels of AP. I mean, you could just put it around planetary levels of durability. And then in terms of power in total, the Toon Force aspect alone should allow him an advantage in a battle that should allow him to defeat many different, not just characters in One Piece world, but characters in all of anime. Yes, current Gear 5 Luffy is a Luffy that is one of the most powerful characters to be introduced in the entirety of the One Piece world. Luffy in his Gear 5th form or Gear 5 form is a phenomenally incredibly powerful character. And I'm sure a few people have a couple of comments and thoughts about this. If you'll do, you can leave them down below. I'd love to see them. This is MZ Info, and I'm out.